Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Hopefully, you were here for the last class, but if you weren't, this is App In Club's crash course for MIT App Inventor, Thanksgiving edition. And this is our second class. And today we're just going to be going into a little bit deeper about how to use MIT App Inventor and what you can use. All right, let's go. So today we're going to be talking about some basic design principles in MIT App Inventor and how you can take advantage of their design to make your app. Okay, so when you go into MIT App Inventor, there's a bunch of different components that you can use. And one of the most important components that you need to take advantage of is the arrangements. And you can find arrangements under the layout section in your palette when you open up MIT App Inventor. It's used to group components together and is very useful for hiding or showing many components at once with just one command. So let's say, for example, you have a bunch of different text or labels or text boxes that you want to hide when you press like a button or you switch to a different screen or something. You don't want to create blocks or commands for each of those components. So what you can do is just put them all under one arrangement and then hide that whole arrangement. And that way it's a lot simpler and it saves a lot of time. Arrangements can also be used as a secondary background. So if you look over here, if you want to have another image or another color in front of your standard background, then you can just format your arrangement to have an image or have a different color as the background. And last thing is that arrangements can be used to place two components next to each other horizontally. As far as I know, I think this is the only way you can place components next to each other. So if you look over here on the side, if I want to have a label and a button next to each other, this is the only way where I can make that possible. This is a vertical arrangement, horizontal arrangement, blah, 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 blah. And you can also have nested arrangements where you have, multiple horizontal arrangements inside of a vertical. And yeah, so I'm going to just quickly give a look into how components actually work in MIT App Inventor. So let me just click. Okay, so as I said, you can find it under the layouts. And for example, if I want to create a button with a label next to it, that's all I need to do. I could create this label, so click this or something like that, and then next. And there's a lot of different format options. You can make it align horizontally or in the center, and change the color. And you can also give it, let me see, you can also give it an image like that. And another option is the table arrangement. I don't really like using this, but this allows you to put more than, or you can have both horizontal. As I was saying, this is why I don't like using table arrangements, by the way. You can have both horizontal and vertical arrangements inside of this. So it's basically just horizontal and vertical combined. But anyway, go back to my slides. Okay, next component I'm going to talk about is the spinner. It's found under the user interface section, and it's basically a drop-down menu. So if you see this over here, you can place it between labels to show how you want to have the user select some sort of option. It's useful for making some sort of quiz or some fill in the blank prompts, something like that. But unfortunately, there's no format option, so this is what it's going to look like no matter what you try. Okay. Then list view. List view, this is a big one. It's very useful. It's also found under the user interface, and you can use it to display items in a list or from a list. There's a lot of format options. As I was saying, list view has a lot of different format options, as you can see very clearly here. You can make it scrollable, and it can be horizontally or vertically oriented, which means the elements can either be above and below each other, or they can be next to each other. You can format it to display two types of text and an image, and it's very useful for making a chat function, which you will see later in our demo. And the elements in a list view can be selected. So that makes it really useful for something like if you wanted to create a search feature in your app, you can display all the different results of your search in a list view, in the list view component, and then you can use it to select those elements. Actually, I do want to go share a little bit about how the list view works. So I'm going to go back to App Inventor here. So we have a list view here. We can change the height or the size of the list view, whatever I want it to be. So let's just make it not this big. Like this is a little bit. Okay, so if we have a list view, I can change the height of this, whatever I want. And let me just, this is the link for App Inventor. I can also change the background color. I'm just going to make this something Thanksgiving themed, something like an orange. And I can change the selection color as well. Maybe change it to gray. Let me pull up App Inventor on my phone so I can just show you guys how this works. Okay, so here we have my screen here. This is my screen on my phone. And I want to change this to show both an image and detailed text. And let me change this font size to a little bit smaller. Let's do 12. And then I can add my data in here. So let's say I want it to be, say, I'll just make it say main test 1. Pick some sort of image, or actually 2. And detailed test 2. Save that, and then it should show up here. And if I go to my screen here, you can see how it shows up. All right. So that's pretty nifty. And if I select it, I can change this as well. If I change the orientation to horizontal, then you can see how instead of one element on top of each other, they're next to each other instead. So that's pretty nifty too. Okay, let me put this away and let's go back to the slides. Okay, next is the notifier function or component, really. It's also found under the user interface section, and it's a non-visible component, which means instead of using it for formatting, then it's actually used for running commands and stuff. Okay, and it's used for displaying pop-ups, warnings, or alert notifications. And there's a bunch of different things that you can do with it. One feature is the show alert, which is just like a standard warning pop-up. You can see that over here. There's also a progress dialog, which is like a loading screen. You can see that here. Message dialog, which is a notification with a dismiss button. There's a choose dialog, a notification with 2 different buttons. Text dialog and password dialog, these are pretty much the same thing. where you can have the user input some sort of text before they continue with the dialogue. All right. And yeah, this is pretty cool too. This is very useful. There's not a lot of format options. You can't change like the background color or like the text font or anything like that. But Notifier is still pretty useful for creating apps. Finally, is the slider. Slider is also found in the user interface, and it can be used as an intuitive way to select values. So you can have the user actually physically see what they are selecting. You can change the colors, you can change the minimum and the maximum values, and you can also use it as a progress bar for a timer or maybe just some sort of loading function. So yeah, and that's it. That's all of the components that I'm going to talk about. So now we're going to get into a demo of building a Thanksgiving gathering or virtual Thanksgiving gathering. The slides are available for you in the chat. I'm going to paste that one more time. Slides will be available for you in the chat. Let me send that one more time. And yes, so now I'm just going to get started with our demo. You guys can either follow along with this or you can just keep watching and then review the slides later. There's nothing for you guys to submit or anything, but if you do create something cool, I would like to see it. So just send it into the Discord chat if you want. Okay, so virtual Thanksgiving. Let's do this. Okay, so what is this thing? I think they updated this. So first thing I'm going to do actually change this back to the classic because that's just what I'm used to. All right. Next, after that, first thing I want to do, I want to change the align of the screen to center aligned. Then I'm going to change this background color to something a little bit more appropriate for Thanksgiving. Let's go with some sort of goldish brown color. Yeah, that looks about right to me. I'm going to have a label here, and this is going to be my title. I'm just going to call it Virtual Thanksgiving Gathering. Let's make this a lot bigger. And I am actually going to upload my own font. You guys can do this as well, but you are going to have to find one online. But the font you're looking for, or if you're using the font that I want, it's called Fall is Coming. And you want the file type to be true type font. And that's what it's going to look like. So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, maybe not that big, 40. And cool thing about this is that if you put a backspace, you can actually get leaves. That's pretty cool. I think if you just search up, what's this called? Fall is Coming font. Yeah, it's just under here. So you can look that up yourself and download it if you really want to. Okay, and I'm just going to rename this as my title. Next, I'm going to add 3 vertical arrangements. I'm going to rename each one of these. So this first one is going to be the enter, what is it called again? Join party arrange. Okay, next one, I'm going to call it create party arrangement. And last one is just input name. Okay, I'm going to hide these 2 for now. I'm just going to work on this one first. So what I want is, first I need to change this to center aligned. Okay, so join a, I was going to say join a room. Let me go back to the slides actually. I have the instructions on these slides. Okay. So I want this to say enter party name. Then I want a text box in the middle, and I want a button at the bottom. This button is just going to say next. And okay, cool. This. And I actually want to change this font as well. I'm going to upload my own font just so it looks a little better. Let's use this one, Oregon. And I'm going to make this slightly bigger, 18. And 18 as well. So I can make 18. And I am going to change, let me change this font to this one to this. And I'm going to change the background color of this button just to make it a little more fancier. Let's make it a dark shade of brown. Yeah. And I'm going to make the text white just to make it pop a little. And I'm going to change this shape to rounded because I like how that looks. Okay, that's my first arrangement done. Next, I am going to do my second one. So basically the same thing. I can really just copy all of this over. Make sure to change to center aligned. And instead of party name, instead of enter party name, I want this to say, let me go back to my slides here to make sure I'm not messing anything up. Set party name. Okay. I want this to say set party name because this is for when you want to create your own party or your own virtual gathering, I guess. Okay, and instead of next, I want this to say create. Okay, this all looks good. That's pretty much it. And I'm just going to do the same thing for this last one. Oh, make sure to change this to scrollable. Center aligned. So change party name. I want it to say, what is your name? So this is going to be the last screen that you see before you go into the home screen. Okay, so basically how I want this to go is when you first open up the app, you have the option to join a party. And I want this to say, you have the options to either join a party or this label here. Create a party. So there we go. Let me change this formatting. Let me just copy this over actually. Make this default actually, I like that. Okay, so we have the option to either join a party or create a party. And when you click create a party, then you are going to transition to this arrangement, and this arrangement is going to go away. This arrangement is going to go away, and then you just have this, and you can set your party name, and then you will transition to what is your own name, and then you can enter and go into the home screen. Cool. That's what I have now. Let me just change all of these. So name. So what I want this, so Catherine, that's a good question. I realize I didn't actually mention that yet. So this is going to be like a virtual gathering with chat rooms. Okay, so it's not exactly like a Zoom meeting. That's a little bit out of the capabilities of App Inventor. So good question though. So this is the next button. I'm just labeling all of this so it's a little easier for me to code later. Or create code for later. Create party transition. And this I want to be simple name and create party txt. And then this is going to be create party button. Name txt. Okay, that's good. And now I can move on to actually coding this thing. So let's see. I need to go back to my slides to make sure I'm doing the right thing. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is we're going to initialize a global variable for the variable party and party tag, right? Okay. Party, I'm going to make this a create new dictionary, and this is I'm just going to make it blank. All right, so the first block or the first button, adding arrangements. Okay, let me go back to that really quickly. So all you need to do is click on the arrangement, and where it says visible, uncheck that, and then you can see it goes away. All right. Putting arrangements in the center. So first thing I always like to do is go to the screen, this very first component, and then where it says align horizontal, you're going to change that to center, because I never like how this looks. So I always just change it to center aligned. Okay. Are we good? Okay, we might not even have time to finish this. I might have to go a little bit quick, but it's okay. So the first button I'm going to code for is the next button. So what I want this button to do is to hide this. So when the user clicks this button, then I want it to hide this arrangement and then show this arrangement. Okay. So I'm going to, well, the first thing I'm going to do is actually make sure that this text box is not empty. All right. Because if it is empty, then I can't really do anything with the input. So if this text is not equal to okay, so let's see if we can figure this out. So if this text is not empty, then I can do whatever I need to do. So I want to set the visibility of this to false. I want to set the visibility of this one true. Is it? Oh, wait, no, forgive me. There is something else I need to do first, and that involves the storage. Okay, CloudDB. CloudDB is a storage for MIT App Inventor. So what you can do is you can store values in CloudDB and you can just bring them up later. So what we need to do is we need to ask CloudDB to get a value. And the value we want to get is whatever the user inputs into this text box. Okay. And the value, if it's not there, I'm just going to say not found. It's not what I want. All right. Let's go back to CloudDB. So when the CloudDB gets a value, I want to make sure that it's not found. Okay. So if this value is equal to not found, if the value it gets if the value that CloudDB gets is equal to not found, that means it hasn't found anything for this text or this tag that you just inputted, right? So that means that we need to give a warning to show that the tag was not found. So that's why I have the notifier function here. And I'm just going to show, and I wanted to say party not found. Okay. All right, cool. So that's if the CloudDB is unable to find this tag. But what if it is? All right, let's say if it is. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this variable to whatever value it gets back. I'm going to set this variable to the tag it gets. You'll see why I need that later. It's for some other blocks. And then I can go back and I can hide this. I can hide this arrangement, set visibility to false. I can set the input name arrangement to true. I can also, I need to hide this one as well because it's not inside of any arrangement. So I also need to set that to hidden. Okay, so just make sure I didn't mess anything up here. All right. What's the difference between tag and value? Good question. So when I request CloudDB to get a value for me, then it's going to give me back a value, right? The tag is this tag over here. Okay, the tag is just whatever CloudDB used to get the value. And the value is the thing that it actually got. Does that make any sense? Hope that made sense. So let's say you were looking in a dictionary for a definition of a word, right? So CloudDB is basically like the dictionary, and then you can look up a word in that dictionary, and then the definition of that word is going to be the value, but the actual word itself is going to be the tag, all right? That's basically how CloudDB works. It's just like a big dictionary. Okay, next thing, what is the next thing we do? All right, so we have our first button coded for. Next, I'm going to do this button. Okay, so this is a little bit different from this next one, this first one we did. So when this is for creating a party. So when the create party, oh shoot, okay, sorry, we need to do this part first. So this is the transition button for create a party. So when you want to create a party, you need to click this first. So when this button is clicked, I'm just going to set the visibility of the button to false. I'm going to set the visibility of the arrangement to true. I'm also going to set the join party to false. Or yeah. Okay. Right. Yes. Okay. Now I need a code for the join party or create party button. So when this button is clicked, this button is clicked, then we want the party to then we want to create a new party. So what I'm going to do is the same thing here. Copy this over. I don't need this and get rid of that. So, oh, sorry, wrong one. Copy this over. Sorry. But then I need to change this to, if this is not empty, then I want CloudDB1 to get a value for this key or this tag. If it's not there, then it's not found. But I need a separate CloudDB. I need a new one. I need CloudDB 2 because I want to have different commands for this request. If it's for different CloudDBs, different requests. Okay. Is this all right so far? Right. Okay. Loading screen. So you have your designer over here, but if you go to the top, you can see your blocks, and that's how you get there. Someone raise their hand? Are we good? Okay, I'm gonna keep going. So we saw how when we got the first CloudDB, what we're gonna do with the value. So now let's do the same thing for CloudDB 2. So when it receives a value, so let's think about this, right? So we want to create a new room, but if the name of that room is already existing, then we can't have it to be repeating, right? So it means that we can only do something if the value we get in return is not found, all right? So let me go to here. If the value is equal to not found, then it can do whatever. But if it is not equal to not found, if it is anything else, then I want the notifier to say party name already exists. Okay. Looking good so far. So now this might get a little complicated. So what I'm going to do here is I want to store a new value for this tag, right? So I'm creating a new room. I'm creating a new tag under the CloudDB. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to use the local variable function. I'm going to name this party. What did I call it in this one? Party, right? I'm going to initialize it as a dictionary. And I want the dictionary to have a list of names. And okay. Yep. Then I'm going to call CloudDB to store this value under the tag it gave, right? Then I'm going to go to set the global variables accordingly. Party tag is just going to be tag, and then the party is just going to be this one. This is not really so much important right now, but it's just for future purposes. Okay, and that should be almost done. So all I need to do is set my arrangements to set this arrangement to false, and I want it to set the name arrangement to true. Okay, and there we go. That's our first three arrangements, or first two arrangements done. So what I'm going to do really quick is just show how this works and make sure it actually works before I move any further. So I'm going to scan in my phone here. I'm going to share my phone screen, see if this works. Okay. And a second here. There we go. Okay. So this is our app. This is what it looks like. And actually, I don't want this. I have the wrong one visible. So there we go. That's what I want. That's what I want it to look like. There we go. So let's try to join a party. Well, there's no parties here, so let's just try Smith. Party not found, right? We expected that. There's nothing here. Now let's try to create a party, and then we can create Smith. Or actually, yeah, let's try to create Smith. And then there we go. It transfers us to the next screen. There's nothing we did here yet, so we can't really do anything. But it's working right now, and that's all I needed to know. Cool. Next, we're going to do the name. We're going to code for this name button. All right. Let's go to, I'm going to show here. This is what our arrangement looks like, and we need a code for this button here. So when the name button is clicked, there's a few different things I need to do, right? Because if the name, well, first of all, I need to copy this over again. Because if the text box is empty, then I can't do anything. So if the name already exists, then I don't want to repeat that name, right? If it already exists, then that means that person has already previously logged on or previously has been in that party. So I don't want to repeat that and have two names in the same list. Ethan, this is my app visualizer. That's just me sharing my screen from my phone. That's all that is. Okay, as I was saying, it's an app. Okay, it's a app called AirDroid, and you can just share your phone, share your screen from your phone. It's pretty cool. Anyway, as I was saying, I want there to be different responses or different things to do if the name is already found or already existing in the party. All right. So if this name is in list, if the name is in the list global party and select from list, or no, sorry, should be dictionary, get value for dictionary, names. If this is equal to true, then that means that it was able to find this name in the list. All right, so make sure it's correct here. I did forget that. I'm going to change this to uppercase, just so that, if the spelling, or if not the spelling, if the capitalization was different, then it's still the same name. Okay. Now, if this is true, then I want it to, hold on. Then I just wanted to open the new screen. Okay, so I am going to add a new screen. There's just going to be a home screen. I don't need to worry about that for now. Let me go back here. Open a new screen, home, and I want it to have start value of list. First thing in the list is going to be party tag, right? And the second thing is just going to be the user's name. Okay, and that's all I need to do. However, if the name was not in the list for the party, then it gets a little bit more complicated because I want to add that name into the list of names for the party, right? Okay, so I am going to add it to that list, that item, right? So if I was not able to find the name in this list of names, then I want to add the name to the list of names. All right. Okay. And now I can just do the same thing and I can open that screen. Right. Oh, sorry. That's on me. You also need to store this value. Did I use CloudDB? Yeah. I need to use CloudDB1 to store this value again. And this is why I created the global variable and set it to set the global variable earlier, because now I need a reference and use it again in this code, and I can't get it from anywhere else. That's why I used it. Okay. And that should be our first screen complete. It seems like we're probably not going to have time to complete the full app right now, but I will try to finish this home screen with you guys. So, but if I go to my app connector again, let's just see if this works. Okay, and it's actually the wrong arrangement. There we go. Okay, let me pop this out. And let me know if you guys are able to see that. Should be, right? All right, cool. All right, so this is our app here. Let's try to join a party. Smith or Smith family. That should not exist. So it should show party not found. So let's create that. Let's just say Smith family. Great. Okay, that worked. And what is my name? I'm just gonna say Jason. And I enter. And boom, I'm in the home screen. But let me go back here and let me try to log in again. Now let's try Smith family and see if it works. There we go. It works. And I can use a different name this time. Let me just say Joe. And this should also let me in. All right, great. So the login screen works. Perfect. So now I'm going to, we have maybe 6 minutes left. I don't want to keep you guys for too long. So let's try to do this home screen now. So first thing I'm going to do, change the line horizontal, and I'm going to change the background color to something a little bit more appropriate. This time I'm going to do some sort of brown. I like how that looks. Okay. What did I do? Oh, wait, no, I made some sort of, okay, it's fine. And I'm going to create a label, a title. This is going to be my title. And I'm going to make this size 40. No, too big. Okay, I'm going to use that same font. I want it to say the same thing. Virtual. I think on the slides, there are some more complex instructions. Then you can actually do that if you want, but for the sake of time, I'm not going to. And I'm going to have a vertical arrangement. I'm going to have a picture, and I'm going to have a button. And what I'm going to do, and what I'm doing now, is I'm making my first room, and this is going to be the kitchen. So I'm going to upload a picture of a kitchen. See if I find it. It has to be somewhere here. Here it is. That's my picture of kitchen, and I'm going to make the width fill parent. And I'm going to make the height 250 pixels. Okay. Actually, this might be a little too big. I'm going to change this to 90%. Okay, cool. And I'm going to have this set to be kitchen. I'm actually going to change this font to this one. I just like how that looks. And I'm change this color, some sort of gold. All right, and I'm going to change the shape to oval. Okay, that looks good to me. And I'm going to do another thing. I want to show a list of family members. So you remember how we had that list of names? We had that list of names when we back on the home screen or on the login screen, right? So I want to be able to see that list. I'm going to use the list view feature to do that. So see family members, or what did I call it? Oh, view party. View party. Change this color a little bit. I want to make it orange. Maybe a little darker orange. Okay. And let me change this color white. I'll make it bold, a little bit bigger. And I'm going to change this font to this one. Okay. And I'm going to change the, actually going to change the background color of the list view to the same thing. I'm going to turn down the opacity a little bit though. You see why. I'm going to change the main layout to main text and then detail. Actually, no, it should just be main text. And I'm going to change the font size to be a little bit smaller, maybe 60. All right. So I think that should be all. Oh wait, I want to change the font of this. There we go. And I'm going to change the height to actually 20%. A little too much. 15%. Okay. And I'm going to hide this for now. Okay, that should be good. So when the home screen initializes, I want to take the starting value. Actually, I need a DB. I want to get that list of names. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the start value. I'm going to get the second thing in that start value. All right, because this is actually just the first thing, isn't it? Yeah, okay. So the first was the tag, or the name of the party was the first thing in that starting value. When the CloudDB gets a value, then I want to set the elements of list view to elements value, and not, this is the wrong block. This one. Key names, because if you go back to our home screen, you can remember that names was a list stored under the party or the tag, right? And then it was just a list of names, right? And I think that should be pretty much it. And theoretically, that should show you, right? That's all I need, right? Yeah. And that means, so let me go back to my login screen. Let me show you this. Smith. Oh, let me pull up my sharing. Okay, so if I go to Smith family, I should be able to log in. This time I'm going to use another different name. I'm just going to say Kevin. Enter. if I click view party, oh, actually, I need to actually change this up. If I click this button, I need to see. Okay. Now, if I click view party, I should be able to see the list of names. And there we go. Jason, Joe, and Kevin. That's pretty cool. All right. That's unfortunately all the time I have for today. I don't want to keep you guys for so long after the allotted time, but right. The slides are here for you if you would actually like to continue with this app and see where it goes. If you go to the end of the slides, you can actually click on this link and then load the app into MIT App Inventor to see it for yourself. You can test it out, you can play around with it, see how it works, maybe try some things on your own. But other than that, that's all the time I have for today. And I want to just thank you guys for listening and for being here. This is going to be my last class, and next week you are going to have a different instructor. So I'm going to share this slides link here again. And I just want to say thank you guys for being here, and I hope you all have a great weekend. That's it. Thank you. You guys